Alright, what's up? It's Warren Freeman. We episode 6 now. Smackdown is in the books. It happened yesterday. I just finished watching it this morning, so I'm going to give my review on it. Yeah, so let's just get started. They started with the Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair recap. Y'all know my thoughts on the whole Becky situation. I talked about it during my SummerSlam review. You know, I'll say it again. I like Becky Lynch as a character, but I don't like the booking for that. Having her beat Bianca Belair in 25 seconds, 26 seconds. And before I get started with the SmackDown review, I want to comment on Booker T's podcast. I was listening to it yesterday. Well, part of it. And they were talking about the Becky Lynch Bianca Belair situation. And the other guy on the show, I don't know his name, he was saying that people were comparing it to Kofi and Brock Lesnar. Not so much the racial overtones, was just the fact that, Kofi lost in 26, less than 20 seconds, right? And the guy was like, well, at least with Brock Lesnar and Kofi, that's believable. I mean, that kind of squash is believable. But to have, if you look at Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair side by side, even in a shoot fight, I'm probably going to take Bianca Belair, in a shoot. And I know it's a work, but even still, with just looking at the two of them, you would think Becky Lynch would have to climb Becky Lynch would have some trouble just whooping. It's just not realistic for Becky Lynch to just whoop Bianca Belair like that. So that was just something I wanted to comment on and I'd agree with when I watched the Booker T podcast. But then we get to the actual show. I guess Pat McAfee is recovering from COVID, so get well soon. So we got Kevin Owens and Corey Graves on commentary. Excuse me, with Michael Cole. I think that's a good combination to have there. Becky Lynch grabs the microphone, comes out, and apologizes for nothing. She says it's all about opportunity and preparation. And she says she's been preparing for this, for months and months and months, and the opportunity presented itself, and she took advantage of it. So she's leaning a little bit towards the heel side, which is interesting. But then we get the trope that WWE likes to churn out, where you have everybody has a microphone, everybody comes out and says their piece. So Selena Vega came out, Carmella came out, and Liv Morgan came out. And Carmella said something about... Corey Graves said, I feel bad for Carmella. And Kevin Owens is like, of course you do. A little tongue-in-cheek there because they're together. So anyway, all three women make their point about how they should be number one contender. And then Bianca Belair shuts them down and says, it's not about those three, it's about me and you. I want to face you tonight on SmackDown. Becky Lynch says, nah, not tonight, and just walks out of the ring, leaning more towards the heel, which, again... if that's the direction they're going to go, fine. I just think there's a better way they could have got to it, but I'm not going to dwell on it. So all the four women have a scuffle in the ring. Excuse me. Then we go to a commercial break. We come back, we have a fatal four-way elimination match. And the order of the elimination goes like this. This is for the number one contendership for the women's title. All right. And also, before I start talking about the match, I just want to say that the SmackDown women's division sucks. I mean, I'll skip ahead a little bit and talk about Naomi showing up in the backstage segment. Later on in the show, Naomi's like, I'm finally here on SmackDown. It feels good to be here. And Sonya Deville just completely dismisses her. Like, yeah, I didn't even know you were going to be here. It is what it is. And completely dismisses her. But, so now we have Naomi. But even with Naomi, man, the SmackDown women's division sucks. I mean, this is who Becky Lynch has to contend with. I mean, Bianca Belair, okay, cool. Naomi just showed up. I mean, that's great. But then you got Selena Vega and Carmella who lose every week. And then where the hell is Liv Morgan been? I haven't seen her since Money in the Bank. You know? So, yeah. They have a Fatal 4-Way match. The order of eliminations go as follows. Vega gets eliminated first with the KOD by Bianca Belair. Then Carmella gets eliminated with like this weird springboard flatliner. I guess that's what it is. And Liv Morgan pins Carmella. Then it comes down to Liv Morgan and Bianca Belair. And, oh man, I'm really tired today. So it comes down to Bianca and Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan goes for that flatliner again. Bianca Belair beasts her way out of it, hits a suplex on her, or actually gets her in a powerbomb position, drops her face first on the turnbuckle, hits the KOD, 1, 2, 3, and Bianca Belair wins. And there was no doubt in my mind that Bianca Belair was going to win that match. I mean, I like the fact that they had it go down to Liv Morgan and Bianca Belair to decide who was going to win. But again, I had no doubt that Bianca was going to win. So down the road, we'll have a women's title match, a rematch. I'm assuming that Extreme Rules. Who knows? And it'll be Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch for the women's title, with Bianca as the number one contender. Okay, then we go to Kayla Braxton interviewing Paul Heyman. This was very good. She point blank asks, with the return of Brock Lesnar, where do you stand? And Paul Heyman emphatically says, I stand by my tribal chief. He tries to go into Roman Reigns' locker room, and he finds that it's locked. We go to commercial break. We come back from commercial break, and Kayla Braxton is still hilariously holding the microphone like, Paul Heyman's like, don't you have something else to do? Then the Usos come out, and they question Paul Heyman, basically saying, yeah, like, you knew that Brock Lesnar was going to be there, didn't you? And Paul Heyman denies knowing it, and then the Usos said, well, why'd you send us backstage then? And then Paul Heyman said, well, that was Roman's decision. Then the Usos saying, if you didn't know, you claimed that you didn't know that Brock was going to be there, well, then why didn't you know that Brock was going to be there? So Usos kind of grill Paul Heyman a little bit, teasing that seed of dissent, Is Paul Heyman really with Roman Reigns? Did Paul Heyman really know that Brock was going to be there? That's a story that I'm really looking forward to getting into as the weeks go on. We move on, and we have Chad Gable versus Cesaro. I gave this a dislike. I gave a like for basically everything that we've seen so far. The Becky Lynch promo, the Fatal 4-Way match, the Paul Heyman skit. I gave that all a like. Chad Gable versus Cesaro, I gave it a dislike. Gable hit a pretty moonsault. I thought this match would be good because you got a technical whiz like Chad Gable, and you got Cesaro who can have a good match with anybody. So I expected more of this match. And then I get a DQ finish. Cesaro goes for the spin, or goes for the swing. Otis comes in and causes the DQ. And then they beat up Cesaro. Yeah, didn't like it. And I'm going to talk about American Alpha more at the end of the video. I think they kind of got the raw end of the deal here. And I'll explain why at the end of the video. Corbin is rich. And so we see two segments. The first segment is Corbin driving up in a Bentley backstage as Kayla Braxton is waiting for Roman Reigns. Another trope that WWE likes to do. When they this guy's going to show up tonight. And then they put a camera in the parking lot. And then they tease somebody showing up and it's somebody else. So Baron Corbin gets out of his Bentley and says he's rich. We don't know how he's rich. So in the next segment, he comes to the ring with new music. And he shows his video of his defeat at Big E from SummerSlam this past Saturday. And then I guess he hits Vegas with $35. He turns that into $100. And then he just builds on that $100 and he wins big, man. So he wins big. He buys all these expensive clothes. He has his dinner. Um, he buys this pink car that we don't see on the show. He pulls up in a different car. I don't know what that was about. But he's rich now. So he comes out to the ring. He's bragging about his riches. One thing I will say about the fans is you can tell that the fans were really invested in this storyline because they chant, "You deserve it, you deserve it," when Corbin is clearly healing on the crowd, bragging about his riches. So that is good character work if you got the fans invested in it. But then Baron Corbin calls out Big E, and I knew where this was headed as soon as, oh, I'm going to call Big E out here. So he calls him out and he offers to buy the briefcase. He offers him $20,000, then he offers him $50,000, then he offers him $100,000 to get the briefcase. And of course, Big E denies it, tells him to get the hell out of the ring or I'm going to beat your ass. Corbin leaves the ring, and then that's the end of the segment. I gave that a dislike. I didn't like it because it went on and on. It was too long of a segment, and you could see where it was going a mile away. So I gave that a dislike. We go to the Edge and Rollins recap. This show didn't have as many recaps as Raw did, although this show, as I explained before, is 2 hours as opposed to Raw with 3, so maybe that's why I didn't have as many recaps. But the recaps were plentiful this week, I must say. We recap Edge and Seth Rollins, and then each man cuts in their own promo backstage. Edge promo, basically, he says that he's leaving Seth Rollins in the rear view, and he's going after the Universal Championship. Seth Rollins rebuttals that and says, congratulations, Edge. You had a good match. I admire you. I respect you. But if I want to go after the Universal Championship, maybe I should be more like you. So it's clear that both men are going for the Universal title. Brock Lesnar is back, so he's obviously in the picture. And there's another man that's going to be added into the Universal title picture, and I'll explain that at the end of the video. So I gave both those promos a like, not one per promo. I just grouped them together and liked them both. Then the Dirty Dogs took on Rick Brooks and Nakamura. Nothing really interesting happened in this match that made me want to write anything down for it. Rick Brooks did his switching gut wrench suplex that he did last week. It was a good match. It wasn't bad. It wasn't ass. So I gave it a like. Rick Brooks won with like a pump handle. I'm not sure what it was, but Test used to do it. It was like a pump handle, and then it was like you put them on your shoulder and then you slam them. So Rick Brooks pinned Dolph Ziggler with that. The announcers made it a point to make it a big deal that he pinned a former world champion. So yeah, I already talked about the Naomi segment when she showed up on Smackdown, and Sonya Deville kind of just dismissed her. Then Rey Mysterio gave his son a talking to backstage, basically saying, "You know what? I'm gonna step back, man. I'm gonna just let you do you. The only way you're going to grow is if you learn on your own." So I got you booked in a match. I don't know who your opponent is, but I got you booked in a match. So Dominic Mysterio goes out, and his mystery opponent turns out to be Sami Zayn. Dominic goes for the 619, and I've never seen this before. I got to give this credit. Dominic goes for the 619. Sami pulls the middle rope down so that Dominic can't grab it. So he goes flying out of the ring and he lands hard. I mean, pretty damn hard. I'm surprised he didn't get a concussion. Rey Mysterio comes out to check on his son. Later on in the match, Dominic gets the 619. Sami rolls out of the way of the oncoming splash. Dominic gets off the top rope. Sami suckers him in for an explosive suplex. Hits the haluva kick. 1, 2, 3. Sami Zayn beats Dominic Mysterio. Rey goes to pick up his son. Rey's like, nah. Or Dominic's like, nah, I don't want none of that. Teasing dissension between the two. And I want to see Dominic turn on Rey Mysterio so bad. I'm talking like I want to see some motherfucking Sandman. Was it Raven? No, it was Raven and Tommy Raven and Sandman in ECW when Sandman's son turned on his father and joined up with Raven. Like, I want to see some of that. You know, although Dominic has too much of a baby face, and I mean literally he has a baby face, to which I don't know if he'd be a convincing heel, but we'll see. So then we go to the family celebration. I gave this a dislike. It was nothing. It was a couple of reasons why I didn't like it. Number one, it was just Paul Heyman pandering, and you've seen it for years. You know, acknowledge your tribal chief, acknowledge the tag team champions. The Usos got a pop there, and it was just shit that you heard before. Like, Paul Heyman didn't really say anything new, and Roman Reigns didn't say anything at all. He kind of just grabbed a microphone, and like you could hear Roman Reigns, hey, say this, hey, say that, blah 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 blah, say something about Cena. And then, you know, Roman Reigns said, oh, we've seen enough of John. And it's just, okay, whatever. So I didn't like it because we didn't hear anything new, just Paul Heyman pandering. Finn Balor comes out and challenges, well, first he says, you know, John Cena screwed me out of my championship match at SummerSlam, and I'm going to deal with him later. So maybe there's a pending feud coming with Finn Balor and John Cena, which would be interesting. Unless it was just a line just to say, just to make him sound like a badass. I don't know. And he says, you know, I was going to challenge you to a match at Extreme Rules, but I'm going to challenge you to a match next week. He throws the microphone at his chest, attacks Roman Reigns, the Usos jump in, and then the Street Profits come out to get involved and even the odds. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. So why are the Street Profits now getting involved with the Usos and Roman Reigns when they was just getting their ass beat by the American Alpha? Like, that doesn't make sense. So, what, they can't beat the American Alpha, so now they're going to presumably go after the tag titles now? That doesn't make any sense to me. So, yeah, that's two reasons why I didn't like it. And then that's the end of the show. I tallied up my likes. I tallied up my dislikes. Originally, I had it at 6 likes and 3 dislikes. But I always find something that I either liked or didn't like. And I added on. So, this is going to bring my dislike counter up to 4. And it's not so much the ending segment. I didn't count that as a dislike. That counts towards my original dislike. The 4th dislike is going to come from the just the treatment of Naomi. Like, they just had her reappear on SmackDown with no explanation, no story whatsoever. And she just kind of showed up, and then Sonya Deville just dismissed her. I got to give that a dislike. And that dislike is also going to tie in to the SmackDown Women's Division as a whole. Man, wow, it's bare as hell. The overall show grade is a B. I gave Raw a B+. So I think Raw, I'm going to say that Raw won for the week. SmackDown was an ass. Just what really brought SmackDown down for me was, I mentioned the Naomi thing, just the presentation of the SmackDown division and the ending segment. I think Raw had a better ending segment with Riddle beating AJ Styles. I enjoyed the ending of Raw much more than I enjoyed the ending of SmackDown. So I gave SmackDown a B. 4 dislikes, 6 likes. Who was my MVP for the week? Let's find out.
Bro.
Of course it was going to be Matt Riddle. Who else was it going to be, man? I teased it. When I did my Raw video that, damn, Matt Riddle is a contender for MVP of the week. And, I think Matt Riddle had the better performance. I think Raw won. And I also said, when I started doing this MVP shit, I said that typically, whichever show I think won for the week is going to usually follow. My MVP is usually going to be on that show. So There you go, Matt Riddle, MVP of the week. I think Raw won for the week, not by much. I gave Raw a B plus. I gave SmackDown a B. So yeah, that's my review for SmackDown. I'm gonna try to get that retro SmackDown in. I got like 3 days left, so I'm gonna try to get it in for you guys. So that was my review of SmackDown, and you guys have a wonderful night. I'm out.